Storm has been an incredible DPS in Marvel Rivals across many seasons with her amplification abilities. Whether she's amplifying damage or zipping people around like a taxi around the map, there is always something Storm can do to help her team. My name is Paz, an Eternity player on the competitive ladder, and I'm going to tell you all of the things you need to know in order to pop off and carry your ranked games. Starting things off, understand that Storm is a solid DPS that focuses on consistent output within herself as well as the rest of her team. Storm typically plays in a safe spot in the middle of her team, closer to the ground, where she is surrounded so that she can apply her buffs to as many people as possible. With all of this damage, eventually the enemy team will fall from all of the pressure. Storm is not the DPS you play if you want to take an off angle and take out enemies in the backline. Sometimes you can fly around and get a better shot on a specific target, but if you want to be taking off angles more, try playing other characters like Psylocke and Hela. Storm takes patience to work alongside her team. With this in mind, let's start discussing her kit. Storm's main attack are her wind blades that deal different damage depending on what aura she is on. When she is on her wind aura, she deals 58 damage per shot, and when she is on her thunder aura, she deals 65 damage per shot. The wind blades cannot headshot though, so you can only just barely 4-shot squishies with 250 HP in that thunder damage aura. Even though you cannot headshot targets, the wind blades do pierce enemies, meaning you can generate a ton of ultimate charge per shot. While aiming the wind blades, make sure that you do lead your shots a little bit since they are projectiles and are not hit scan. The projectiles though are so large that you don't even really need to lead it all that much, which is pretty crazy. What's pretty neat is they fly through the air at the same speed as Namor's projectiles now, so he can be a pretty comfortable hero to flex to if you're struggling against divers, most specifically Spider-Man, because he absolutely shreds you. Unlike Namor's primary fire though, Storm does have fall off on her primary fire, starting from 20 meters away, decreasing her damage to 60% of normal from 30 meters away. This is still a pretty steep damage reduction, but she will be a little bit closer than other DPS simply because of how she plays within her team. With 250 HP, a primary that pierces targets, a crazy strong ultimate, and a lack of super quick movement, the simple information alone of the primary tells you all that you need to know to really get the most out of this character. Play safe, generate crazy amounts of value around your team, and you are golden. There are tons of different ways to deal even more damage with Storm and new combos because of it, but before we go over all these combos, let's understand more to her kit first. Storm's alternate fire, Bolt Rush, allows her to unleash a lightning bolt on enemies, dealing 84 damage every 8 seconds while in her wind aura. While in her thunder aura, she deals 94 damage with the ability instead. What is super interesting about the ability is that the lightning bolt can hit multiple targets at once if they are super, and I mean like right on top of each other, or if one is flying over top of a target. Since it hits everyone in a vertical line, it's a little bit weird how it all works, but if they are close together, you're going to be hitting it. You can also use the ability right after a wind blade to animation cancel and deal more DPS. This ability is great for finishing off targets that are low, since the ability is hit scan after that short cast time. But other than that, it is really simple and doesn't really get interesting until we understand the auras, because it's just such a simple ability. So let's make things interesting by understanding her weather control ability that allows her to give buffs to her teammates in a 15-meter spherical radius around her, depending on what element she has activated. Because the radius is spherical and not cylindrical, if you fly too high, your team is not going to reap the benefits of your aura. It functions the same way as Ultron's drone, although the radius is much larger, so you don't have to worry about it as much. The tornado element, otherwise known as her wind aura, gives Storm a 16% boost to her movement speed and an 8% movement boost to her allies. The thunder aura gives Storm a 12% boost to her damage and a 10% damage boost to her allies. This is enough to allow characters like Black Widow to one-shot headshot squishy targets, which is incredibly strong and why the two get paired together frequently. The same is true for the Punisher and his ult against support ultimates. The damage boost aura is so strong it has been meta-defining in MRI for quite some time now. While the auras might seem simple, there is more to them than you realize, and it depends on your team and what they need from you. The tornado aura is used for one of 3 reasons: to help a teammate get activated faster, to peel for a teammate that extended a little bit too far, and finally, to get a teammate back into the fight. Most characters need a setup before they can really start producing value. Take The Thing, for example. He needs to get up close and personal with his enemies in order for him to get a lot of damage and value, since he has little to no poking abilities in his kit. A character like Hela is a lot different though. She doesn't need to be close to the enemies, but she does need to get to an off angle, and the faster she can do that, that with her friendly Storm, the better. At the start of fights, you usually start on the Tornado aura until you activate your team with the extra movement, and then switch to your damage aura so they can get more out of their positioning before they inevitably get forced out and need to heal up again. Sometimes teammates troll though and need help getting out. Maybe the thing went too deep and doesn't have leap to get out. Swapping to a Tornado aura will help him get out fast so he doesn't just blow up. Maybe the Hela starts getting pressured by a Psylocke and needs speed to get back to her healers in time. Ranked will always throw dumb situations at you, but you might be able to save teammates and turn fights with a well-timed Tornado aura. Finally, taxiing teammates back to a new fight can literally win you games, just like Lucio in Overwatch if you ever played that game. Let's say you won a team fight on defense or on a domination map. Instead of just sitting around and doing nothing, fly to your spawn and get your teammates back before the enemies get theirs back. This small detail will lead you to taking more fights in general and will likely win you games in some cases where you otherwise wouldn't be able to. The Tornado aura is the unsung hero of Storm, but the Thunder aura is the one that really makes a huge difference. There aren't any rules to the Thunder aura other than trying to get as many players in it as possible when they are activated. What I mean by activated is that they are in the position they want to be in to get the most value possible out of their specific character. Think about the Punisher when he is ulting. He is activated when he can see the enemy team without a shield in his face. So you can use the Tornado aura to speed him into place and then switch to your damage aura when he is ready and can start doing damage. The auras get even more interesting though when channeling Goddess boost that can be activated every 15 seconds and a different effect for 8 seconds depending on the aura that you have up. It is a pretty long cooldown because it doesn't actually start until the 8 seconds is down too. So keep in mind it's more like a 23-second cooldown since it doesn't start right away. The Tornado aura boosts Storm movement by 40% and allies movement speed by 20% when it is boosted. Enemies in the aura will also receive a 15% movement speed debuff, making it even easier for your team to close the distance and brawl out on the enemy team. Imagine a triple tank composition with Mag, Thing, Mr. Fantastic, Storm, Luna, and Invis in rank. While it does have some glaring weaknesses to high damage compositions with Human Torch, I feel like this could be an absolute monster in more casual elos where swaps aren't so common. The real star of the show though is the enhanced Thunder aura that boosts Storm damage by 25%, allies by 12%, and deals 37 damage to all enemies in the aura every 2 seconds for a total of 4 times if you start on the Thunder aura. This opens up a lot of opportunities for you and your team to generate a ton of ultimate charge. To put it into perspective, this makes your Windblade deal 73 damage a shot and your Bolt Rush right click to deal 104 damage a shot. With a left click Goddess boost, left click Bolt Rush right click combo, you can deal 287 damage extremely quickly, one-shotting almost every squishy in the game if they do not receive healing. Even if they do receive healing, the damage boost is, in a way, generating your ultimate as Storm 25% faster, alongside charging the rest of your team's ultimates 12% faster, which is a pretty big deal once you get your team activated with the Tornado aura first. Now that we have charged our ultimates though, let's talk about the devastating power of the Omega Hurricane, which that sounds like it's got some aura, I can't lie. Huh? Upon pressing Q, Storm will begin to cast her ultimate, where she will then get 5 seconds to designate where she will begin the ultimate. Then she will become a tornado with a 16-meter diameter, dealing 168 damage per second over 5 seconds. The reason why I'm highlighting that cast animation of the ultimate is that you can get taken out of this animation if you are not careful. So you'll want to cast this from the safety of your team before you just go in and start ripping your ult. While in the ultimate, survivability isn't that much of an issue, as Storm generates 450 bonus health for herself, making her much more tanky and difficult to take down. You just have to be careful that Iron Man isn't hovering around and ready to blow you up with his ultimate. The same goes for Phoenix, but she won't one-shot you, she'll just take away all of your bonus HP, which will then lead you to be vulnerable to the rest of the enemy team. The ultimate also costs 3,100 points to generate, meaning you have to deal a little less damage than that if you want to charge it, which can happen pretty quickly considering the fact that your wind blades pierce. Whenever you use the Storm ultimate, you should expect that the enemy supports are going to to use their ultimates to counter you, because if they don't, you are going to take out their entire team. This isn't really the end of the world though. Just because a support ultimate goes down does not mean that you cannot find a straggler out of position to take out before they find themselves sanctuary from your damage. Sometimes though, the enemy supports are going to ult too early when you are still in that 5-second selection phase of the ult, and then you can catch them off guard when their support ult fades away and goes down. But if the enemies are locked in, there is no need to go too deep with the ultimate. After your time is up with the ultimate, you do spawn in the middle of the tornado. So if you were inside of the enemy team, you will spawn there, and yeah, you're back to your own spawn room in like 10 seconds. Always make sure that you get your value and then you get back to your team to live and tell the tale. That's not all with the ultimate though, because with Jeff's team up, the tornado becomes a Sharknado that is quite frankly insane. Jeff the Shark can combine his ult with Storm to extend the duration of the tornado by 4 seconds and swallow enemies, taking them out of support ultimates that may have been placed down. Many players may think that this means that the ultimate is uncounterable, but that is not the case. Good teams will remain calm and Iron Man ults you to counter you, or simply split up so that you can only get 1 or 2 with the ultimate. And if they're playing Captain America, they can ult and counter yours all together. A lot of the skill with the Sharknado combo comes down to the Jeff and understanding when you need to combo the ult and when you do not have to. Sometimes the enemy team doesn't have a support ultimate and the Storm can take out 2 safely and win the fight with that alone. Other times, the enemy rips a support ult and the Sharknado is required to get a pick or 2. A niche situation is if the enemies are using a roaming ultimate like Bucky or Magic ult, amongst others, that the Storm ult can counter on top of finding picks on the enemy team. This is a great use since you are effectively accomplishing what you would get out of a support ultimate and more. Getting this kind of value on Jeff of all characters is a pretty big deal and is something that you really have to be doing if you're going to play the character. All right, now that we have discussed all of Storm's abilities, let's start talking about what counters her. Starting with the Vanguards, Hulk can be pretty annoying to play against since he can constantly exile you out of your ultimate if he is on top of things. But finding a Hulk player that is this locked in and ranked is a difficult find, I'm not gonna lie. The Thing can also be pretty annoying since his Haymaker can take you out of the sky, but you will be in the middle of your team for the most part, so he should really get punished if he's doing this. That being said, he will also punish you if you are going too far and misplaying yourself, so be careful. Captain America can also completely counter your ult if you're with Jeff the Shark, so just keep that in mind. As for DPS, Iron Man is really strong into Storm because his ultimate shuts yours down, but he also has better dueling potential than you due to his superior unibeam damage. As always, Hela, Hawkeye, and Phoenix are going to be annoying to play against as a flyer since they have the easiest time finding you on an off angle where your positioning within your team is compromised. The same even goes for Psylocke and most definitely Spider-Man since you don't have any quick mobility to dash away once he pulls himself into you. It is incredibly annoying, but it really is up to your team to deal with him. As far as supports go, Ultron is annoying since he can easily fly past any shield that might be blocking you and just pressure you for the entire game. Outside of that, Luna Snow is also annoying to play against since you cannot take her out of her ultimate within Jeffnado and she has excellent damage to pressure you out. As far as characters Storm likes to play with, I personally love playing her alongside Vanguards like Magneto, Emma, and Strange. Even if Emma and Mag were not the most broken tank duo in the entire game, their shields and general playstyles work really well with Storm since she is kept safe and is able to do what she wants to do better. Strange is kind of the same idea, he just isn't as obscenely broken as Emma. As for DPS, characters that like to stay with the team like the Punisher and Bucky are extremely strong with the Storm. They will always benefit from your auras and be able to melt enemies even faster, especially the Punisher. He is really scary with a Storm. Black Widow also gets one-shot headshots with the Storm aura. The only problem is that she has to play right next to the Storm, which makes it tricky to find good angles on certain maps. Supports are simple. Just run Luna, either with a Cloak, Loki, or Invisible Woman, depending on the situation. I just wish there was more to say for supports, but for right now, because Luna is so strong, there really just isn't anything to say. I know you want me to say Jeff, but to be honest, I think, in my opinion, I would rather have any other support that is not Jeff. The team up really isn't as broken as you guys think. Before we move on to the VOD portion of the guide, when should you play Storm? Are there any strong characters that she shuts down? I have found that Storm is really strong into triple tank compositions in ranked. They don't come up often, but they oftentimes stump teams when they do come up. So that's gonna cause you to lose some games to these cheesy strategies if you're not ready to go. Storm is also really good with these compositions since she amplifies everyone's damage, but I would not make this your first choice and tell people to go triple tank and ranked. Storm is a character that does best when you are with and against poke or brawl compositions that can make use of her auras. Dive is where she struggles, since she'll just get surrounded, taken out, and with no team to use her auras, she's cooked. Now that we understand Storm and her kit, as well as where she is applicable, let's take a look at a couple of VODs to get an even better understanding of her kit. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are spectating Aiton. He's the rank 1 Storm on the ladder right now. I couldn't get any VODs from any pro players because no one's playing this character. She's not necessarily the best, but I do want to cover someone that's honestly pretty good at Storm, all things considered. Very simple gameplay though. Like everything else that we said in the guide, just sitting in the middle of her team, not really making anything crazy going on here. No crazy off angles, just trying to get as many people in the damage aura as possible. As you can see at the start of the fight, we have 5 for pretty much the entire time. This is going to give Hulk and everyone else enough damage to just take out a free pick. And now that a free pick has been created, still not really looking for an off angle yet, but is trying to angle for supports. And now since she can fly, I mean, you can just easily see it's a very easy way to just like glide up and start shooting. But no matter where the Storm is trying to stay in the middle of the entire team where the Storm is safe. There's not a whole lot of like crazy off angles or anything. We're playing around our team and trying to give as many people a damage aura as possible, which is just a very good like default playstyle. One fight in and we're already 70% to our ult. So this is a very good default playstyle that I think everyone should be adopting when they are trying to play Storm. So in the VOD portions of the guide, I really like talking about things that we didn't cover in the guide. So right here, it's a kind of a mistake. I mean, right now, all that Aiton really has to do is just kind of live and wait for this C&D ult to be over. But, you know, the Storm falls over and dies. But something really interesting is how Aiton actually comes back into this fight when his team is all still alive. He immediately turns on the power boosted form of the wind to get back faster, and he ults from all the way back here because look how fast this is to get back to point. When you know that the Jeffnado is going to be able to get a lot of value, actually using your ult from spawn is a really interesting way to be completely honest with you guys, completely carry the fight. I mean, this should win them the fight with that many picks. Maybe the team trolls, but I really don't see it happening that way. And again, yeah, this is going to create a big opportunity for maybe you coming back and turning fights that you otherwise would not have been able to turn. Very interesting stuff. At the end, when he respawns again, he's just immediately going to be on the wind aura. So I think that's something that a lot of people need to start doing, is starting to think about the wind aura and how you can set up your team to be faster, even though they do technically lose that fight because their team's just going to be faster getting back. They immediately turn this point and are going to win this fight thereafter as well, which is absolutely insane and something I just don't see my Storm players doing in ranked. So there's a lot to learn even from someone that isn't a pro player and is just really solid on their character. For the very last VOD of the guide today, I want to review some very important things that you need to be doing against the Jeffnado combo of Storm. In this upcoming fight, the enemy blue team is going to waste 3 support ultimates when there's a Jeff ult going down with the tornado, which, come on now, guys. This was a Celestial 2 lobby, almost top 500, and we're doing this? You're going to see this now, but something I actually really want you guys to realize too is, let's say like the enemies are running cap and can counter this interaction. At the very end of the ult, watch where this Mantis goes. She actually gets launched in the direction you are looking. So you can throw people off of the map that are getting healed by a Captain America in some situations to even counter that ultimate too, which actually adds some pretty crazy layers to it that I didn't know existed. So that's a good thing to know as a Storm Jeff player as well. And then with all this value, I mean, red team literally just can't lose that fight. And now blue team is down, what is that, 5 ultimates to 1 combo. So realistically, it wasn't the craziest play. I mean, by Aiton and the Jeff the Shark, it was more so a big blunder from all 3 of Blue's supports. But I did want to show you guys the niche tech that you can get out of Jeffnado, because that's something a lot of people don't know. And then all of a sudden, too, nothing too like crazy to talk about for this fight now closing out. Just playing really close to the team, cleaving to get as much ultimate charge as possible to possibly find another one in overtime, helping the Hulk get the pick. Just pretty simple Storm stuff. If you guys have any questions about Storm, make sure to send them all in the comments down below, and let's close out the video. And that closes out today's guide for Storm and Marvel Rivals. If you have any questions, make sure to send them in the comments down below, as well as asking me live right now here on YouTube or on Twitch at twitch.tv/PazSwagger. I stream every day I upload, so be sure to check me out to learn more about everything I talked about today. Thank you guys all so much for watching, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.